ever since my move, I've been having more time than I really know what to do with. And so the temptation is to sort of slack off. And I'm not talking about a job search or something like that. I'm talking about all of the other things that I would normally do, like getting exercise, making sure I walk 10 miles a day, making sure that I am spending time reading books and writing and doing creative things and playing my favorite games and doing YouTube videos, which, yes, I have been doing them, but not as much content creation as I potentially could be doing in all different forms now that I have quite a bit of spare time. And it's weird how sometimes if you have nothing to do, you wind up not getting all of the stuff done that you thought you were going to get done, just because you don't really have the level of urgency anymore. You don't really have the level of focus, and things just sort of fall by the wayside. If I had to go to work, then maybe I would get exercise while I was at work. Maybe I would walk to work. Maybe I would walk home from work. And then I would prioritize getting that active time in the period after work before I go to bed and retire for the night. But if I don't have a job to go to, then it's really easy to just get out of that routine and get into weird sleeping schedules and spend an afternoon, and then the afternoon is gone before you know it, and it's evening and another day is gone. And these are things that I am aware of and working on to be conscious and say, all right, maybe I don't have a job right now to go to, but that doesn't mean that I can't have productive time in my day. I can do things that I wouldn't otherwise maybe be able to do if I had a job to go to and things like that. So just thinking about that stuff and then trying to make sure that I don't fall into a funk. And I think if you go 1 week without having a good routine, that's not a big deal. But then if it goes into a couple weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then you're just not in the right frame of mind and you're not on a routine, then that is unhealthy. So making sure that even if I don't have official work duties that I need to be doing, that I'm spending time doing things that are mindful and in their own right, creative and productive. Then there's the issue of the dog next door. It's been barking, and it doesn't bark incessantly all the time, but it does bark often enough that it's irritating. And yet I know it's not a huge deal. So if that's my biggest concern, then I don't think I have any particular problems in life to worry about at all. Grace is important. It's good to give other people grace because we all have something that we do that is not liked by other people, something that's obnoxious, something that's inconsiderate, something that's irrational, something that could get underneath other people's skin. And if you want to receive grace, you have to give it. You have to be willing to forgive the little slings and arrows which other people throw your way without particularly intending to. Knowing that you also are a creature fallen from grace and inclined to sometimes do things that frustrate your neighbors. It's not a terrible thing to have a neighbor with a dog that occasionally barks. And my life is a lot better here than it is where I came from, where my old apartment was poorly maintained and my neighbors were pretty sketchy. It seems like this place is pretty well maintained, and most of the people that live here are pretty respectful. They're all gainfully employed people who are well adjusted enough, and that's a refreshing change. Maybe a little bit obnoxious if the guy who works at the Glad sandwich bag factory keeps on following up with me to see if I found a job yet, and keeps on trying to pitch the possibility of me making sandwich bags with him at the plant, though I might take him up on it if things don't go the way I want them to. So maybe that's a blessing too. I had a plug socket in the bathroom that wasn't working. I put a work order in, and a nice gentleman on a golf cart came over and replaced the faulty electrical socket about an hour later. And I thought, that's pretty incredible. Because at my old apartment complex, it would have probably taken 3 weeks for them to make their way over. And at that old apartment complex, they were all pretty sketchy. I remember I had a leaking faucet, and when the maintenance guy came over to fix it, he spent a while talking about how he used to be a thief and a drug addict before he came to straighten his life out and became a normal part of society again. And there he is in my apartment, working on stuff with keys to all of the units. And I was thinking, yep, that's great. Certainly glad to hear that you reformed your life. I hope that the reformation sticks, but maybe I need to hide my valuables. So there's that. I just went down to the Best Buy store and got a new boom arm for my microphone because I was noticing that the mic was picking up feedback from vibration on the desk, and I wanted to try to make that a little bit better and see if I could make a small investment in better sound for these videos that I like to make. Anyways, that was cool. I went to the Best Buy, and I was noticing that here in Bentonville, Arkansas, it's the nicest Best Buy that I have probably ever been in. Well stocked with a lot of amazing stuff, and it just goes to show here in Northwest Arkansas, retailers really want their stores to be flagship stores. They want them to look nice because it's Walmart's hometown, and they know that whatever stores they have in Northwest Arkansas are really up against the best of the best Walmart scrutiny, and they don't want to be caught with their pants down, which is kind of interesting. But certainly as a customer, it's nice to be able to go into a store and find everything you could possibly want because they've got the best selection, they've got the newest layouts and all of that. In any case, as I make this video, I was just kind of thinking about a job interview I have tomorrow, and it's kind of hard to know what to say on some of these job interviews because I come to the realization that I am pretty ordinary. It's not to say I haven't done extraordinary things, but when you are tasked with trying to present the notion that you are the best thing since sliced bread, it's kind of hard to know how to do that when you honestly, humbly know that you really aren't. Maybe in some ways my values are better than other people's. Maybe my level of loyalty is a little bit better than some people's, but I haven't done any great, extraordinary feats. The kind that make resumes pop, you know. All of that being said, though, I was thinking about how we have really qualified people that join the company, and they'll come in at a very high level. They'll be there for a couple of years, and then they'll move on to another role because they're really in it just for a period of time until they get bored. They're in it to serve in that particular role that they've signed up to be in, but they're not really working for the higher purpose of the organization. They're loyal to that particular role for a temporary period of time. They don't have that long-standing sense of what makes this organization better than others. They aren't really passionate about that sense of purpose in the same way as the folks who have spent a lot of years working for the company. Walking around Rogers, Arkansas here, I look at all the storefronts and shops and places, and I think about how Sam Walton inevitably would have frequented a lot of those businesses himself when he was alive. These are roads that he drove personally. The stores that I shop at here are stores that he personally managed in some cases. When you put it in that perspective, it's kind of like holy ground for Walmart out in Northwest Arkansas. So when I see people coming and going, and they say, it's so amazing to join the team, and then a couple of years later they say, well, it's time to leave Northwest Arkansas and go somewhere else for the next opportunity with a different company, I can't help but think there's something about the culture that's lost when people don't understand that it's more than just something you do to get a good salary for a couple of years and then move on to something else. Too often in our society, we view everything as a little bit disposable. Relationships, jobs, everything. It's important to you until you find something better. So everything's contingent. And that makes life feel pretty hollow after a while if you live it that way. That's why my goal is to settle down here and make this place my home and stop going all over the place looking for something better and something new. New experiences, yes. New adventures, yes. But one place to call home. And that's all about grace. It's about accepting that nothing is going to be perfect, but it can still be good for you. And when it comes to things like interviews and finding balance in life personally, I think what I really have to leverage is the fact that I believe in the place I am in. I believe I am where I'm supposed to be. And when you believe that you're where you're supposed to be, then you're inevitably going to want to be a good steward of that. To treat people with respect, to pay a good gesture forward, to make up for your shortcomings with the type of loyalty that gives more than is asked. And those kinds of things can compensate for a lot of the missing lines on a resume. In any case, as always, good luck on your adventure. Till next time. Thanks so much for watching.